All right, so after watching my fellow classmates' videos, I'd say that our thoughts kind of meshed well together. I think we all kind of experienced some sort of controversial part of COVID. I think at least some of us were dealing with it too. So where I left off talking about it was here. Not surprisingly, high levels of vaccine hesitancy occurred in areas where one might expect a high concentration of individuals who meet the younger, more conservative, less educated, and Republic profiles identified by KFF, NBC News, and the Pew Research Center. And then we go to talk about the new national trends. So we talked about how each blue liberal state with a Democratic majority that had voted for Joe Biden in the 2020 election had achieved far higher vaccination rates than the conservative red states. And going further into that, the irony of losing so many Republican voters needlessly to COVID-19 has not been lost on some leaders of the GOP. So many unvaccinated Republicans voters died from COVID-19 that John Nolt of the Breitbart far-right news outlet pointed out. Right now, a countless number of Trump supporters believe they are owning the left by refusing to take a life-saving vaccine. In a country where elections are decided on razor-thin margins, does it not benefit one side if their opponent simply drop dead? He does have a point. Merely a few thousand, tens of thousands of Democratic voters in the states of Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and Wisconsin combined prevented the re-election of former President Donald Trump, and the loss of so many Republican voters could factor into future election outcomes, including possibly the recent November 2022 midterm elections. And then it talks about the shifting trends in the Omicron wave. As the Omicron variant began to accelerate during the first quarter of 2022, several observers noticed that while COVID-19 continued to kill far more people in red states than in blue states, this gap began to decrease somewhat from what had been documented during the previous Delta wave. And then it talks about a special responsibility. How can we address red COVID and halt the senseless loss of human life among Republicans and conservative-leaning individuals? That 200,000 unvaccinated Americans gave up their lives needlessly through shunning COVID-19 vaccines can and should haunt our nation for a long time to come. Having lived and worked, and then he talks about living and working in red states. Something that I would like to point out is here, at more than 200,000 dead Americans and counting, the stakes are very high. Based on the numbers alone, we must consider how vaccine refusal or defiance became a leading case of losses in human life, especially among young and middle-aged adults.